Now, Paralives may be a cozy life simulation game, but now a public dev chat shows us more about the consequences in live mode gameplay. This includes complexities like mean interactions, making enemies, and personalities evolving. Now, I am very well aware I am very late to this news, several days in fact. Between Sims 4 leaks and family stuff, it's been pretty busy. And while you may already know about this Paralives news, I do want to cover it short as it is because it is meaningful, especially as I have raised some concerns about the game having complexity. Now, that aside, I will say this is sounding promising, but of course it still raises some questions. So as always, please let me know in the comments below what you think about this post and what you would want to see in Paralives. Now, I did say previously the team is mostly focused on family households right now. Now, NPCs don't have a ton of autonomy on their own. In other words, you do have to initiate most of these interactions. But of course, even though many of them are leaning more friendly, luckily you can at least be mean and paralyzed right away. This all comes down once again to the Together cards. The Together cards are pretty much the core foundation of how you're going to interact in Paralyze at least one of them. So some Together cards have multiple variants. This way, the player can make their parafolk express different intentions through that card. Please note that the interface, icons, and colors of course are still a work in progress. As you see here, you can flip through these different choices, you can select your target and decide how you're going to interact. You can go ahead and compliment their outfit, you can also do it in an ironic way or even a flirty way as well. This is really interesting because it is the same interaction technically, but you're doing it in a different tone, which of course would lead to different consequences. This is pretty good. I think this is an efficient way to do it. Again, I still don't know how I feel about Together cards. It's just a new system and I don't know what to think, but I did say before that I like that Paralives is doing things its own way. And while I don't know how complex this is actually going to be, at least it looks like there is a way to make some other parafolk mad, which is personally a plus in my opinion. Moving on, as they further explain, making a compliment that is ironic, for instance, could make other parafolk in the conversation embarrassed, angry, or sad. Then they could be offered Together cards to insult the specific para that was rude to them. I also like this too. They could interact in a way that makes them embarrassed or sad instead of just angry. Personally, this would be great if this was tied to personality traits. For those that are curious, parafolks also can insult someone else about many things, including the context of the conversation or the personality of the para. Okay, so I was just saying that. If you feel like insulting someone because they are not as skilled as you are in cooking, they have a lower paying job, or you want to blame them for the house being dirty, you can. See, I was worried a little bit about the complexity of this game, and sure, there are still lots of questions up in the air. However, this seems to have a lot of nuance to it, and these are the kind of bits of information I want to see more of. Eventually, I would love to personally see a full showcase of live mode when they are ready. I think having a demo before early access would also be great, but they have said that might not happen. But regardless, I do think this does alleviate some of my fears. It sounds like there are ways to shake up these conversations. Don't get me wrong, what I really want is NPCs to do this to me too, but at least you can add some interesting dynamics to those conversations, and it's not going to be friendly all the time if you don't want it to be. In addition, when characters are mean to each other, you can choose to make them enemies. Or enemies with someone, it will unlock more Together cards and ways to reflect this special relationship. Again, really great. Would I love it if enemies could have really big consequences? Of course. But for now, being able to mock them and make fun of them still adds some interest to the game. This is great to have this label of enemy, and honestly, I want to know more about relationships and labels in the future. In addition, we're also learning more about the want system and what role it's going to play. Now, this is good news. Based upon personality, that's right, based upon personality, relationships, and emotions, parafolk will have different wants that they wish to complete. Now, some examples are if you have a fitness trait, you want to do 50 push-ups. If you have a jack of all trades talent, you might want to level up 2 different skills. If you're more of a serious parafolk, you might want to upgrade a point at work today. If you have met someone recently, you might want to become friends with them. And if you just moved in and don't have a fridge, of course you might want to purchase a fridge. So here we have practical ones and also ones that are more tied to who the parafolk are. To give you an idea, they also gave a document listing of all the ones that are being added to the game right now. Honestly, this document showing all the ones shows you just how how much work goes into this game and any game like it. What I will say is, no matter how complex Paralives is initially, I do think the team has done some pretty great work, and I am so inspired by their work ethic and what they've accomplished as such a small team. Finally, last but not least, we also of course have personality evolution. Now, we already knew about personality evolution to a degree, so these are just a few more notes. In Paralives, completing your once will give you personality points. When you have more personality points, you can level up your personality and choose an evolution. Level 1, of course, after you've selected personality traits for your para in the Para Maker. Level 2 gives you an additional vibe trait, the next level gives you an additional social trait, and level 4 gives you an additional talent trait. This is very layered, and I will say it seems promising to have these different types of systems. But the huge caveat is, are they actually going to work well together? I am hopeful, but again, this is just on paper, so I do actually have to see it in action. While I am hopeful for this, I will say it all comes down to execution. Here's just an example right here. Pick an evolution for Rachel's music talent. You can do sleep learning. Sleeping will slowly increase your music skills. Or inspiration. Everyone learns music skills faster when in a group with you. In fact, there are actually 12 levels to this. At level 6, you pick a vibe trait evolution. Level 7, another social trait. Level 8, another talent trait. Level 9, another social perk. Level 10, another trait. Level 11 is an extra stat point, and a level 12 to pick one more trait evolution. This does give you incentive to really play with your para, and so I do think I like this system. Again, it also shows how you can grow as a character. Who you start as a para isn't going to stay stagnant. In this way, I think it is more realistic and dynamic than it could be otherwise. All in all, I will say I think this sounds promising. Again, I do have some hesitation on some of these systems. I don't know how well they will actually go together. I don't know how well everything is executed, but I would say overall I am hopeful for the individual level. In the future, I do want more things outside of my control and Paralives. Everything feels like it's totally in my control in this game so far, so that would be my biggest hesitation, but I know some people like that, so that won't be a downside for everyone. All in all, they are planning to add more even dynamics to that, so what do I think about all this? I don't know, but I do think it is exciting, and I do love to learn more about what they're up to. So let me know what you think about all this in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next video.